All right. This is Michael Stokely with On Point Equal Justice Coalition interviewing Lonnieta Robinson. Lonnieta and her mother have a case of cruelty to children against the state of Georgia. There were a lot of inconsistencies in their case coming from the state of Georgia. Looked at forged documents, looked at documents that had signatures on them that she didn't sign, had documents that were created, that were not legal, were not right, and all the evidence and documents that she has, that her and her mother has, that comes from actual judges and
DAs and district attorneys
and doctors,
Department of Family and Children Services. Georgia Department of Family and Children Services proved that she couldn't have done these things or didn't do these things, but all the evidence was suppressed during the trial. So on this film, I want you to listen closely and pay attention as she tells us the ongoing case, the ongoing story of what's going on right now. They're actually trying to give her and her mother 30 years. 30 years. And wouldn't let none of their evidence to prove themselves innocent be accepted into the courts. So pay attention, listen up, and look at the documents that she will show. All right, Ms. Robinson. Yes.
Tell us your story from the beginning.
All this started back in 2003 when I went to file molestation charges against my ex-husband, Dafford D.Madison, with the Georgia Department of Family and Children Services. I spoke to Miss Janine Wingo at that time because it was dealing with my oldest son, Samuel Logan. And what I was telling her is the fact that he was getting erection around my child. He told me he lusted after him in front of one of my son's uncles. And the fact that he got caught molesting him by my mother, Miss Marvalene Smith. I did all this, and much of my effort, it was all flipped back on me at that time. And during that time, I was trying to get something done for my son, doing the right thing. I found out I was pregnant, which that pregnancy resulted from being raped by we were separated at the time, but he's my ex-husband now.
What's his name? Dafford
D.Madison. And throughout all this, starting in 2003, I tried to file charges. The Valdosta Police Department and some of the detectives up there looked me in my face, told me I was being vindictive. And when I was laying in the hospital, I had been on bed rest 2 weeks. One called me, and he said, Ms. Robinson, I don't see anything sexually inappropriate about him getting an erection around Samuel. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, there's a lot wrong with this. It's not right. And so all this started from that. And when I was waiting for the DFACS worker to get back with me to discuss everything, I found out my ex-husband went up there, Dafford D.Madison, and was talking to her, and she told him everything. And under Georgia law, that is illegal. You can't reveal something dealing with someone else who has filed a case until the investigation is over with. But instead of Miss Janine Wingo listening to me, she believed everything my ex-husband, Dafford D.Madison, said, told them that I had took the kids and that I left and wouldn't let him see his children. But in fact, the kids never stayed with us. The kids were staying with my mother, my oldest son, and my baby. My baby went to stay with my mother the time I got out the hospital with him. But to prove This because my ex-husband, Dafford Madison, he didn't keep a job. He couldn't pay no bills. We had some power of attorney papers drawn up. I'm holding them up. In 2002. July 2nd, 2002. This shows our signatures on here. I signed it, Lonnieta L.Robinson. My husband at the time, Dafford D.Madison. With our address, social, and everything on there. Our witnesses, and it was notarized, and it was prepared by Bennett Law Firm. Which gave my mother custody over my 2 boys. And to take care of them because that's who they were staying with. That's who they've always lived with. And I tried to tell them this, and they wouldn't listen. They stated that I didn't have anyone to take care of me. I was living in poor, nasty living conditions. And that was from his accusation. And at the time he filed it against me, he was homeless. But they believed him instead of me. And I had my family, my mother, Miss Marvalene Smith, and my brothers and friends to back me on this. We ended up in court and found out the judge was asking me if I stayed in Homerville. That's where they took the warrants out of me. I told him I never lived there, which found out later that's illegal. Miss Janina Wingo did that. And that's how everything got started then. And